If you love classic TV shows packed with style, luxury cars, espionage, and that perfect chemistry between two leads, then you definitely remember The Persuaders. Released in 1971, the series brought together two giants, Tony Curtis and Roger Moore, forming a completely unlikely duo, an impulsive American and a flawless British aristocrat, who ended up becoming truly unforgettable. But time has passed. And that question always comes up. What happened to them? In today's video, you're going to take a trip back in time and discover the before and after of the show's main cast, revisiting their characters, their stories, and everything that came after that classic which defined a generation. So get ready, because the nostalgia is about to hit hard. Roger Moore was born in 1927 in London, England. Before joining the Persuaders in 1971, Roger was already a major television star. His big breakthrough came with The Saint, where he played Simon Templar and became an international icon. In The Persuaders, he portrayed Lord Brett Sinclair, a wealthy, refined English aristocrat who seemed perfectly polished, at least until he found himself in trouble alongside Danny Wilde, played by Tony Curtis. Brett was the perfect counterpart to Danny. Where one was impulsive, the other was calculating. Where one created chaos, the other tried to maintain his composure, usually without much success. That chemistry became the heart and soul of the series. And after the series came the role that turned him into a true legend, James Bond. In 1973, he took over as 007 in Live and Let Die, followed by other classics like The Man with the Golden Gun, The Spy Who Loved Me, Moonraker, For Your Eyes Only, Octopussy, and A View to a Kill. Roger Moore became one of the most popular Bonds of all time. Beyond his film career, he devoted decades to humanitarian work as a UNICEF ambassador, a cause he was enormously proud of. Roger Moore was the definition of British elegance, the adventurous gentleman the world never forgot. Roger Moore passed away in 2017 at the age of 89 after a battle with cancer. Tony Curtis was born in 1925 in New York City. The son of Hungarian immigrants, he had a difficult childhood in the Bronx, but he found in cinema a way to change his destiny. By the 1950s and 1960s, he had already starred in major hits like Some Like It Hot, alongside Marilyn Monroe and Jack Lemmon, as well as classics like Spartacus and The Defiant Ones, which earned him an Academy Award nomination. In other words, by the time he joined the series, Tony Curtis was already a giant of the silver screen. In The Persuaders, he played Danny Wilde, an impulsive, street-smart American millionaire full of attitude. Danny was the perfect opposite of the sophisticated Lord Brett Sinclair, played by Roger Moore, and it was exactly that contrast that made the duo so entertaining. While Brett was all elegance and etiquette, Danny brought improvisation, sarcasm, and chaos. Throughout the series, Danny Wilde found himself caught up in car chases, international scams, espionage, and plenty of dangerous cases, always with humor and that irreverent style that became the character's trademark. After the series, Tony Curtis continued acting in film and television, appeared in numerous productions, wrote autobiographies, and also devoted himself to painting, becoming a respected visual artist. Tony Curtis was the kind of actor who seemed born to be a star. Charismatic, rebellious, and possessing a one-of-a-kind charm, he remains one of Hollywood's greatest names. Sadly, he passed away in 2010 at the age of 85 after suffering cardiac arrest. Juliet Harmer was born in 1941 in England. Before joining the Persuaders, she was already known to British audiences, especially for her role as Georgina Jones in the cult series Adamant Lives. In the Persuaders, she played Prue, appearing in 2 episodes. Although she wasn't a regular character, her performance stood out, particularly for the energy she brought to the story she was part of. Prue becomes involved in the mysteries and dangers surrounding Brett Sinclair and Danny Wilde, helping drive the plot forward. After the series, Juliet gradually stepped away from acting and chose to live a much more private life, away from the spotlight. She went on to write and illustrate several books, including 4 for children, as well as an illuminated manuscript celebrating the healing properties of herbs and flowers. With charisma, talent, and a very distinctive style, she built an interesting career both before and after the series. She is currently 83 years old. Terry Thomas was born in 1911 in London. He was one of the great British comedians of his generation, starring in classics such as Those Magnificent Men and Their Flying Machines and It's a Mad, 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 Mad World. If there was ever a role for a charmingly roguish and hilariously suspicious character, it was his. In The Persuaders, he played Archibald Sinclair Beecham, Brett Sinclair's cousin, in the episode The Man in the Middle. And what a memorable appearance it was. His character seemed timid and clumsy at first, but ends up caught in espionage and international betrayal when Brett and Danny find themselves in danger. And that's where the humor shines. The man who appears completely out of place ends up playing a crucial role in the story. After the series, he continued acting in film and television, but unfortunately, his health began to decline. Also in 1971, he was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease, which gradually affected his career. Even so, he kept working for years, showing remarkable determination. Terry Thomas was unmistakable. The thin mustache, the trademark gap-toothed grin, and that scheming aristocratic persona. He practically created a character type that became his signature. Terry Thomas passed away in 1990 at the age of 78 due to complications from Parkinson's disease. Laurence Naismith was born in 1908 in England. He appeared in major productions such as A Night to Remember, Camelot, and Jason and the Argonauts. When he joined the Persuaders, he played Judge Fulton, the mysterious judge who recruits Brett Sinclair and Danny Wilde to handle cases beyond the reach of traditional justice. Fulton was the mastermind behind the missions. He was the one who set the duo into motion, often involving conspiracies, corruption, espionage, or international crime. With his serious and intelligent demeanor, the character served as a kind of mentor to Brett and Danny. After the series, he continued working in film and television throughout the 1970s and early 1980s. Among his later works, he appeared in historical productions and maintained his reputation as one of the great British actors of his generation. He was the kind of actor who brought authority to any scene simply by appearing in it. Laurence Naismith passed away in 1992 at the age of 83. Joan Collins was born in 1933 in London. During the 1950s and 1960s, she built a career in Hollywood and British cinema, appearing in films such as The Girl in the Red Velvet Swing, Land of the Pharaohs, and Esther and the King. In The Persuaders, Joan Collins played Sidonie, a captivating, mysterious, and charming character in a memorable appearance. As was often the case in the series, her character crosses paths with Brett Sinclair and Danny Wilde amid intrigue, danger, and manipulation. Sidonie is exactly the kind of figure that fits the show's elegant and unpredictable world, sophisticated, ambiguous, and impossible to ignore. After the series, her career reached a whole new level when, in 1981, she took on the role of Alexis Carrington in Dynasty. And that's when she became a phenomenon. Alexis turned into one of the most iconic characters in television history, transforming Joan Collins into a global pop culture legend. In addition, she wrote books and autobiographies, continued acting in film, theater, and television, and remained an icon of elegance for decades. Joan Collins is currently 93 years old. And yes, she is still alive, active, and impressing generations. Susan George was born in 1950 in England. She began building her career as a child, but her name truly exploded with the controversial and now classic Straw Dogs, alongside Dustin Hoffman. The film made her one of the most talked about faces in cinema at the time. In The Persuaders, Susan George appeared in the episode The Gold Napoleon, playing a character caught up in a plot full of intrigue, danger, and twists, exactly the kind of story the series thrived on. Even in a guest role, Susan left her mark, and that wasn't easy in a show dominated by two giants like Roger Moore and Tony Curtis. After the series, she remained strong in 1970s cinema, starring in films such as Dirty Mary, Crazy Larry, Mandingo, and Venom. Later on, she also worked as a producer and stayed active in television and independent projects. Beyond her acting career, she became closely connected to the legacy of her husband, actor Simon McCarkendale, and also devoted herself to breeding Arabian horses, a personal passion not widely known among many fans. This year, Susan George is turning 76 years old. Catherine Schell was born in 1944 in Budapest, Hungary. Born into a Hungarian aristocratic family, she had to flee the country as a child during World War II. Her family eventually settled in the United Kingdom, where Catherine would later pursue an acting career. Before joining the Persuaders, she had already appeared in films such as On Her Majesty's Secret Service from the James Bond universe, interestingly, before later working alongside Roger Moore in the Persuaders. In the series, Catherine Schell played Kristen Hansen, a character involved in one of those classic plots filled with intrigue, espionage, and danger. With her natural elegance and striking presence, she brought even more charm to the show's sophisticated world. After the series, she became internationally well-known for playing Maya in the science fiction series Space 1999, a role that turned her into a cult icon. She also appeared in other notable productions and became a familiar face on British television throughout the 1970s. Catherine Schell is currently 82 years old.
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more amazing content, please consider subscribing to our channel. Don't forget to hit that like button and share this video with your friends and family. Your support means the world to us, and it helps us continue creating fantastic videos like this one. Thanks again, and see you next time.